Hi guys! So today I'm going to be doing a recently read and currently reading video. I will link the last one that I did down below, but basically it's just where I give you guys shorter reviews of the books that I've been reading recently and also just tell you what I'm currently reading. So recently I did read The Long Walk by Stephen King. It follows this boy named Garrity and he is 17 to 18 years old. The Long Walk is a fictitious tradition that is within this book. 100 boys are chosen every single year to participate. Basically they're just walking across the states for as long as they possibly can. If they slow down for too long, they get a warning. If they stop for 30 seconds, they get a warning. If they go off to the side, then they get a warning. If you get 3 warnings within 4 hours, I believe, then you are shot on the spot by a soldier. The person that wins at the end basically gets whatever their heart desires. They become incredibly wealthy, all that jazz, but 99 other people are dying, and all these people are seeing them dying because they're all walking together in a big group. You're following Garrity throughout this entire journey, and it is actually like a crazy journey, and it's very interesting because their age group is just such a good group of people to learn about during this walk because they haven't really found themselves yet, and they're risking death, and you're finding out, like, why would they risk their young lives right now to go throughout this walk? It's really, really good and also agonizingly gruesome. I actually find myself like stretching my legs a lot more and stuff just because like I feel what they felt. I gave this book about 3.5 out of 5 stars, mainly because Stephen King never really has anything for me that is long-lasting. I don't think too much about his books afterwards, and they don't have any sort of grand significance in my mind. However, they are amazing stories. This was a really, really good story, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I would totally recommend it for people that are really into young adult that would like to get into Stephen King books. I think this is a really good one to get into, mainly because of the age group and also because it's a very accessible read. So the next book that I want to talk about is actually something that I read on my Kindle. The book was called Butter by Erin Jade Lang. Butter has a really interesting premise. So it's basically about this boy in high school, and he is 400 pounds. Even though he's 400 pounds, he is completely ignored in school because no one wants to talk to a kid that is that large. It's cool because he doesn't really talk to anyone, but you get to hear his thoughts, and he is a very outspoken person without actually speaking. The author did a wonderful job of like creating this character's own voice. It was a great voice to read from because he wants the attention from the other people, and because he also just feels miserable in life, that he is going to create a website where on December 31st he is going to try and eat himself to death. He is going to have this one last grand meal and try to kill himself by eating too much. Very interesting premise. People find out about it at school, and he actually becomes very popular because of this website at school. It's a very, very good modern take on bullying because, yeah, he's becoming really popular because of this website, but he's going to kill himself on this website on a live show on December 31st. And these people are rooting for it. They're rooting for him, but they're also rooting for his death. Very, very interesting premise. Not so very well executed though. I did really, really like the character's voice. I finished it in one sitting. It was though very predictable as well, so if you don't like predictable books, maybe this isn't for you, but it's just something that you knew was going to happen from the very beginning. Like, you knew that this live show was going to happen. However, I still really enjoyed it. I thought it was good. The next book that I read I'm not going to talk too much about because I already have a full review up for it. Yes Please by Amy Poehler. I gave it 10 out of 5 stars. This book was truly amazing. It is all about Amy Poehler's life, written by Amy Poehler. If you don't know who she is the lead role on Parks and Recreation. She has also done some skits on Saturday Night Live. This is her just talking all about her life, and she is just a very powerful, wonderful woman, and I really, really enjoyed hearing about her life. It made me really happy reading this book. It also made me more interested in her life. Like, I went and I looked at more of her work because I read this, and I think that's a very important thing for a book to do, especially if it's a memoir. So I would highly, highly recommend this even if you haven't heard of Amy Poehler because it is wonderful. If you want to hear more about my thoughts, I will link the video that I made, the full review, down below. The next book that I read I wasn't too amped about, so I'm not going to go into a lot of detail because I don't want to be negative for too long. However, I am going to review my books critically because that is what I'm here to do, right? To give you my honest thoughts. I was in the mood for a good, cute contemporary, so I picked up The Beginning of Everything by Robin Schneider because I've had it on my bookshelf for a while and because it seemed like it was going to be a good, cute contemporary. It's about this kid named Ezra Faulkner, and he was a really good tennis player and he was the most popular kid in school, and then he got into a car accident, and then he's like, is the popular kid really who I was wanting to be, or do I want to be someone different? And he wasn't really liking being in the popular crowd anymore, and he started hanging out with some new friends who he really enjoyed hanging out with. You know how I said that in Butter, the author did a really good job with finding a voice for that character? I did not feel the same way at all about this main character. I did not feel like he had his own voice, and I feel like that's mainly because he was trying to find himself throughout the novel, so I don't want to judge too poorly on that because I feel like there was justification for that. I also just didn't like a lot of the secondary characters, like the love interest Cassidy. I did not like her at all. A lot of the choices that she made and a lot of the things that she said really just irked me. Also, I thought that sometimes it was quirky just for the sake of being quirky. It would throw some band names out there or some different terms in anime just for the sake of them being there, and they weren't really incorporated into the story. One more thing is he was sort of going from two groups of friends, the friend group that he used to have a while ago before he was popular, and then the popular kids. And both groups acted sort of poorly sometimes. Like, both groups would make fun of the other group all the time, and that never really stopped throughout it. Some people could say, oh yeah, that's a very real way of portraying stereotypical friend groups. However, to me it just seemed like both friend groups were rude, and he didn't really pick a good friend group either way because he was being rude either way. Nothing really good. It was 2 out of 5 stars because I still continued to read it, and I didn't not finish it. The next book, though, made everything just 10 times better, and that would be Attachments by Rainbow Rowell, which I talked about somewhat in my author discussions for Rainbow Rowell review thing that I just made, so I'll link that down below as well, because this is my favorite Rainbow Rowell book that I've read thus far. It is about Lincoln, and he works for security within a newspaper company. The security job is a very mundane job, and he's basically just putting up firewalls and reading flagged emails and whatnot, and while he's reading flagged emails, he comes across Beth and Jennifer. Beth and Jennifer are best friends that just talk about their life on their emails when they're bored at work, and Lincoln becomes infatuated with Beth. And just hearing about his life and then hearing about Beth and Jennifer's lives, like, everything is so real all the time, and my emotions went soaring all the time. And this is just such a good contemporary read. It really, really is. The characters are unbelievable, but they are also Rainbow Rowell's characters, so you have to expect it. It's a really, really well-written book. I would highly recommend it to everybody. Now I'm just going to tell you what I'm currently reading. So currently I am very slowly going through On Beauty by Zadie Smith. I don't think that I'll be finishing this like during the week or anything. This is just something that I'm going through throughout time because it's beautifully written and I want to take my time with it. It's about an interracial couple that forms through 2 very wealthy families, and I'm very interested in seeing how Zadie Smith relates these families and how these families differ. I'm also still reading Beautiful You by Chuck Palahniuk, and I'm about halfway through, and I'm really enjoying it, like more than I expected to. It has to do with consumerism and how women will be portrayed in the near future, and the concepts in here are actually very fascinating to me. And even though, yes, there is a lot of shock value in this, it is really enjoyable to me. I've been really liking this book. I cannot wait to continue reading it, actually. So there we go. Please let me know if you have read any of these books and if you have differing opinions or maybe the same opinions. Tell me what you've been reading recently, what you are currently reading, all that jazz. And for the Americans out there, have a happy Thanksgiving on Thursday. I hope you have a wonderful time with family and food and whatnot. Alright, I will see you guys very soon. Bye!